Today's video, take this and turn it into this. That's right, we're going to make this car resemble somebody else's car. This happens to be a buddy of mine down in Florida, and we are going to make this car, at least I'm going to attempt to make this car look like his car. If I don't screw up, that is. So let's get to it. Of course, the first thing we're going to do is drill and tap it. So there's the car. How long has it been since you've seen any of this? Ha ha ha! Little dab of oil for lubrication and cooling of the drill bit. And of course we need our drill bits. And a rag. Couple rounds and it should come right apart. There's the front, and from the sounds of it, the back is coming too. Yep, there we go. There's the car part. Now we have to finish drilling these out so that we could put screws in it. Once you think you've got it deep enough, go ahead and knock off the edge where the post was rolled over at the factory. Now the reason I leave this till now to do is because the manufacturing process, the way it's made, you got the post sticking out, bottom goes on, they press it over, and that's what rolls it over. It's hollow in the middle down to a certain point, and then in most rooms, because it's hollow on the outside, well, by leaving that rolled over part, whenever I drill the mushroom part off, it gives me a little cup for my drill bit to go down in. I don't have to use something else to try to start. Yeah, different one. I don't have to use something else to try to start where I want to drill. I've already got something. I just have to continue using that, and that's just what works for me. Something else might work for you entirely different. But now I'm going to try to knock all that off. And once I get all that knocked off, and the reason you knock it back off, it just makes it so much easier for it to go back into the base after you get the project finished. I mean, if you're just doing a wheel swap or something, you can leave that edge and it will actually snap back into the base. Is what's so cool. You do it right and don't mess up the base, it'll snap right back in, and you don't even have to have screws. Alright, run my finger around that, make sure I got all of it. A little spot right there. Now we'll do the back. Oh yeah, that one needs it bad. As you can see, there's a cup there. Hope you can see that. And we're just going to knock that down. Then we'll shoot a screw in it, make sure we're far enough, and if we are, we'll go to the next step. If not, we'll drill it some more. get my screws. And I have found with the screws that I use, I don't even have to tap my post. I have a tap for it, but I found that I don't even have to tap it. Such a fine thread and everything. And yes, I need to tap that one just a little bit more. Let's check the front. But you do this now, that way when you get your car painted and everything, you're not risking messing up the paint job. And I said that one will work with the base, but I'm still going to, because of the base thickness, but I'm going to go ahead and run it down just a little bit more. But you don't want to be having a brand new fresh paint job putting it down on something trying to drill it. So you do it now. There should be plenty there, and I'm going to put a little bit more oil on the back so I go just a hair deeper than the front. Takes care of that. Should be it. Try it and see. But you know, you have to try and test fit and try and test fit, and yep, that's going all the way down. Yes sir, that's exactly what I'm looking for. And then when you're painting and stuff, yeah, it leaves something for you, your third hand or your forceps, whatever you're using, to grab onto. Yep, that's it. Put everything up and I'll be right back. Got the car, like I said, that gives you, that screw gives you something for your third hands to grab onto, or your forceps, without sliding off, popping off. This is actually a pretty nice color. It's almost like a Spectra Flame paint to start with. But we are going to make this look just like his. So I've got to do something to the back here. I've got to do something to the front up here. And we'll show you what we're doing when we get there. But for right now, we got to get rid of this paint. So we're scheduled to get 3 days worth of really hard rain. So here in North Carolina, you know what that makes. The good old North Carolina red clay. And any car, no matter the size, shape, or structure, will get stuck in it. So, and it goes. Like I said, this is going to be a pretty cool project. It's a Camaro, so I don't mind working on it. It's one of my favorite things to work on. And I hope that he enjoys this. The name of his channel, if you want to go give him a follow, he's just getting started, is Hot Wheels Nation Videos. He's just getting started collecting. He really likes the Fast and the Furious and everything. And, you know, he needs all of our help, just like I needed all of your help, just like you needed all of somebody else's help. So if you will, go give him a follow. And as this car sinks down, we will say bye to it, and we'll move on to the next step. But there's just something so cool about watching that bad boy just go down. It's like quicksand, just real slow. Just about there. Yep, that's almost like North Carolina red clay for sure. You sit there and you give it gas to try to get it to go, and the more you get it to go, the deeper it goes. But she's gone. See you tomorrow. Alright, there's nothing wrong with the glass because it's brand new. We're going to do some touch up on the interior because his interior is black like mine. I'll do some detail work on it, just a little bit, maybe a touch here or there of silver. Paint the whole thing black, maybe a touch here and there of silver, white for the gear shift because his gear shift knob is white. And that will probably be it for the interior. But we have to do something about these dad blame wheels. So, what are we going to do? I'm not going to show you just yet what I'm going to put in it, but we got to take these bad boys out. Because when I paint the car body, I'm going to paint the base the same. Because if you've ever looked underneath a real car, underneath the real car is the same color as the body of the car. So this is going to need to be painted, and I'll do some detail work on the bottom and all that stuff. But this is going to need to be painted, so we need to get this in, get it ready to get it degreased and everything ready to paint. But we gotta get these axles out and these wheels. We'll save these for another project. Sometimes you can get very lucky and just open up at one and the wheels will pop out and the new ones will pop right in. But I know that the new ones that I have won't, because they don't have that type of axle. There's the fronts out. And typically all you have to do is, if you look, get where you see it in the light, you got 3 little tabs. You can bend one back and the other one the other way, and typically they'll pop right out. Now if you can do it without breaking them, you can actually reuse them to a point. And what I mean by that is, if you have another set of wheels that you want to use, like, hold on, let me show you. Let's find some fatties. Let's just say, for instance, you wanted to use these, okay? See, back of the car. If you get them in there just so, and then pull down on them, a lot of times they'll snap right back in. If they don't, take your little flathead screwdriver and just gently, ever so gently, open it up here. And see, they snap right in. Then you can push that back over real gently, put your dab of glue on there, and now you got new tires and wheels. And these would look really good on that car, but that is not what I have planned, because this is not what is on his car. So we are going to save these for another project down the road. And I'm actually, for his car, I'm going to have to open this up so that we can use the wheels that I have planned. Okay, here we are. Yes, sir. Why are we here? I am doing a custom for Hot Wheels Nation's video. One of my buddies that I've known for a while and everything lives down in Florida. I want to make a car just like his and send it to him. So that's what we're in the process of doing, but I need to paint to match his car. If it's going to be his car, it's got to match. I thought that my local stores had the scratch up paint, you know, the little $7, $8 things that you can walk in any store and get. No, nobody carries it, believe it or not. Nobody carries it. It's listed in the book, but nobody carries it in the little vial with the paintbrush or the spray can. So I found this place. They will mix me up some. I really didn't have any choice, because if I go to an automotive place, they're wanting 25 to 30 bucks, you know, for a thing that big, half a quart, and I can't pay that. And like it's going to be now, I think the scratch up paint, I don't know how big it's going to be, but it's going to be like 15 bucks. I can get it in a spray can, but I want to do it with the airbrush. So let's get in here and get this stuff mixed up, and we'll see you in a few minutes. Wow, that didn't take long. 10 minutes. They checked their stock, of course, like they do it everywhere else, and of course they didn't have it, so they mixed it for me, which is great. This used to be a CarQuest, and Advance Auto bought them out, and I didn't even know they did custom paints. And one day I was running by and I saw that sign right there on the front of the building, that banner that says "We Mix Custom Paints," and I was like, wow, okay, see it right there? I was like, wow, I'll check into that. So I did. So now, Mr. Hot Wheels Nation videos, I have the exact color for your car. Alright, we're home. we now have the color for his car, which happens to be red jewel tint coat. AutoZone, Advanced Auto, everybody lists the small bottle with the brush. Here comes my helper. Get out of the light, buddy. Good Lord. Everybody advertises that they have this paint in the scratch bottle, but they don't. Even when they go look on their computer where it shows that they have it, they can't even get it. So I had to have some mixed, and you get a lot more. This is probably 6 or 7 of those freaking bottles, and those little bottles are like $7-8 a thing. And I got this for $11 some change. But they told me to store it upside down because it has metal flake in it. So, with that stated, I'm going to have to use a .50 needle to spray this stuff. But I can't get it sprayed if I don't have it out of the paint remover, right? So let's get that bad boy out of the paint remover. Alright, just got it out of the stripper, took it in there to the sink, rinsed it off with warm soapy water. And now you get to see what we've got. Look at that bad boy. Now think, this is no picks, this is no wire brush, this is no Scotch-Brite, this is no anything. This is just straight up out of the citrus strip. Now keep in mind that older cars and everything, like the red lines, you know, the older stuff like in the 70s, and the premium cars, they used more durable paint on their cars, plus they also used more durable clear coats, so they will be harder to do it. You may have to leave them in there for a couple days, or there's a quicker way, and the way around that is to take Scotch-Brite or some sandpaper and just scuff it up really good. Just scuff it up real good and drop it into the citrus strip, and that will help the stripper strip off everything. So there's a tip for doing premium cars, there's a tip for doing the red lines. Now let's do a little bit more work on this bad boy. So we're going to have to break out the polystyrene because his car has a wicker bill that goes on the back of it and a front splitter that goes on the front. And we have to be careful with the front splitter because when we go to reassemble it, you can see how the front of the chassis fits right up in there. So we're going to have to cut it almost exactly the same shape and thickness as the front splitter that's on there now, because there is a little one where we want to accentuate that. So basically all I need is a thin strip the same width of his car. So we'll just start with it, and then just get us a straight edge. Now all we have to do is cut that out. Now we'll see if that's close, and if not, we'll cut another one. We only want it on the trunk section because that's where it is on the real car. And it's just going to be a little bit of an accent. It's not going to be anything major. But that is just a hair too long. So we'll just put it on there, get our pencil ready. Roll it around with our fingers and mark it. And then cut it. Of course, throw the extra in the trash. Double check the size. And that is spot on. So we'll set that over to the side for now while we do the front. The front one is going to be the hard one, so I'm going to use a piece of paper. Old trick I learned back in my school days. Right. Now we just cut that out with scissors. There's the shape and the overall size. We'll take that and transfer it over to this, and we'll be right back. And that is pretty much the shape right there. Now what we're going to do is cut that bit boy out and then check it. So there's no need you sitting here watching me cut this thing out. You've already seen how to cut the other pieces. So we'll be back in just a minute. Whee! Now we take it, check it with the shape of the car. It's not perfect by no means, but we'll come back with a file and shape it however we need to. Yeah, it looks pretty good. I mean, I'm not looking for a big pronounced split or anything. I'm just looking for something that's closer to what he has, because he has one on his car. So that's what we're going to work with. You know how it is trying to do stuff like this and it not on the body. But that's basically what we're going after right there. So what we're going to do is we're going to glue it on, and then we'll finish shaping it the way we want to. We're going to take our glue, get us a little bit of it on some paper or plastic, and we'll take something that we can use to spread it with. Make sure you get it on the whole thing, because if you don't, you know what'll happen. That joker will not be glued down and you have glue everywhere. So then we're going to start at one side, attach it, roll it around, attach it again, and then come back and look at it before that glue sets permanently. And there you go. As you can see, it's off on the side just a little bit, but that's okay. That's what the files are made for, right? We'll shape out a little bit on that side with some sandpaper and what have you, and get it to where we want it exactly. But now we got to get the hard part on, and that's the back piece. Now, like before, you just take a little bit of glue and spread right on the area where you want to apply the polystyrene. Spread it on there. And try not to stick your fingers to everything. Stick it on there. And you just keep working with it till it's dry. Now you can tell it's on there. I mean, look how cool that looks. Got the rear wicker bill on there, and we have the front splitter on there. Now all we got to do is shape it. And since I screwed up when I glued this on, it stuck a little bit quicker than what I wanted. I'm going to use some sandpaper to take care of this. Sandpaper works a lot quicker on polystyrene to shape it, to get the fundamental shape. See how quick that was? I'm just trying to knock down this one side so that it's very close to the other side. See? I like the way it fit, but I want it to be as perfect as I can get it. So I'm hitting it with the file on the back side and my flat file, because that gets rid of a lot of stuff quick. Then I'm going to come back with one of my half round files. That way I can get the curve just so. And then we're just going to keep working on it until we get it exactly the way we want it, because you know, when you're doing something like this for somebody, you tend to want it better than if you was doing it for yourself. But if you look at that now, it fits the body line perfect. Let's see how it fits the face. Perfect. It won't go in because the screws are in there, but that is perfect. That'll work nicely. I think I'm still going to touch up this front just a hair. There we go. I got that last little bit out, now it's curved. Now all we have to do is degrease it, prime it, and paint it. Okay, we're going to hit it with the rotary tool and the brass bristle brush on here. And the reason for this is I'm doing this for somebody else. I'm not just doing it for myself, you know, so I want every body line, every panel, every nook, every crack to show up in the final job, because you know you want this to represent your work to somebody else. So that's what I'm doing. I'm just hitting it with the brass bristle brush and trying to get all the casting material off that I can. And here's the finished product as far as the brass bristle brush and the rotary tool. As you can see, it put a nice little shine on it. Looks really good. It's funny, you know, you see these things and they're painted and everything, you don't see all those marks on it. Now I could sand all those out and whatnot, but the primer will fill all that in. But you can see the car is now starting to take shape. I think it's looking really, really good. You can see the door handles, you can see the lights and all the grill marks and everything, which will be detailed out when I get it done. You can see the brake lights and stuff on the back of the car really good. And that's what I'm going after. I want this car to look just like his car, so that's why I did it. Now the next step is to degrease it, prime it, and then paint it. So let's get to that step. Alright, here we are. A very fun, very fun part of the phase and most to look to, but also one of the most intimidating, because if this is a make it or break it moment. The start of the priming and painting process. Looks good. Like I said, I wasn't going for polished perfection, so I didn't hit it with the sanding sponges or anything. I just wanted to knock all the casting material off of it so that I could get a nice clean detail, you know, with the headlights, the turn signals and all that, because all that's going to be detailed and painted. So let's get to priming this bad boy. I've got my favorite primer out, and we're going to hit it with some gray primer because the color that we're going to go back with is dark anyway, so I want a good neutral base. So I'm just going to hit it with a couple real fine base coats like that. And the reason you do this is to give the second coat something to cling to. And the reason you always want to prime your cars is because it gives the paint something to stick to. The primer sticks to the metal, the paint sticks to the primer. That's just the way it's always worked, the way it always will, until they invent something better and more fancy. But once it starts drying, you can hit it here and there, you know. And this primer that I use dries really quick. I'm really fond of Krylon paints because of how fast they actually dry, how fast they flash, and how easily they do not run. As you can see, that's already almost dry. I need to hit it right there, and I'm going to set it down for a minute while I do the base. Yes, I'm going to be painting the base too, because if you're going to do something that's lifelike or mimics real life, it needs to look like it. When have you ever seen a car that wasn't painted on the underneath? And yes, this is already gray, but it's a shiny gray and I'm going to be using regular car paint on it. So with me using regular car paint on it, it needs to be primered. Even if I wasn't going to use regular car paint, if I was going to use any kind of paint on this, I would still prime it. Again, the reason, and it's been degreased, and the reason you do that is so that the primer sticks to the plastic, the paint sticks to the primer. So we're going to let that dry for just a few minutes. Put it over here where you can see. So you can see it's kind of glossy looking, so that tells you it's still wet because this is a flat primer. As you can see, this is no longer glossy looking. I can actually hit it with the second coat. So that's what we're going to do. Prime the nozzle, hit it with the second coat. You can go a little bit heavier with this coat, but I wouldn't recommend. I mean, you can put it on wet like that, but I wouldn't recommend, you know, just holding it in one spot because it will run. I mean, it's a paint. Primer is a form of paint. And the reason I do the insides is because I'm doing a complete paint, color change. Some people don't do the insides even with color changes because you're not going to be holding it up like that looking at it anyway. But I do it because I'm doing a color change. And that's just the way you do it. If you want your product to turn out as good as it can, you do it the best you can. And if that means coating the inside, that means coating the inside, right? I want to make sure that I get that rear wicker bill really good. And the way I'm going to paint this thing is going to be a little bit different because I don't have the real fine masking tape. So we're going to have to reverse engineer what we do, but I'll show you that and talk to you about that when we get that far. If it's like this tomorrow, I may be doing it tomorrow because it's not real windy right now. It's just a light breeze blowing, maybe 2 to 3 miles an hour, just enough to move the dust and stuff around. She's looking good. Look at that. Not a run, not a blemish, not anything on that. Man, she looks good. But there is one thing that I'm not pleased with, but I'm just going to have to roll with it. And that is, if you look right here on the wicker bill, where it meets the body, there's a little bit of glue that got squished up in there. I might be able to take a razor knife and pick that out, but I have learned that if you go after something like that for absolute perfection, I'll end up destroying that wicker bill and have to redo the whole thing anyway. So I'm going to leave that as is. I'm pleased with it. But now we're going to hit it with the second coat of primer. We're going to turn it around so we get it from the other way. And that should take care of the base, because I'm going to be painting a lot of the detail on this, the exhaust and stuff like that. I'm going to be painting that. So we want it as good as we can get it. So now we wait for it to dry, and then we'll break out the airbrush, the color matching paint, and go to town. Another thing about this being in the primer stage, I can go ahead and put my axles in and check the wheels now that I've got it primed and cleaned and stripped and everything, and make sure everything's going to fit, because you want to make sure everything fits before you paint everything, because even after you check everything 1,000 times, it seems there's always something that doesn't go right. So I'm going to put the axles in it next rather than painting it. That'll be the next part of this video you see. I'm going to put the axles in it, test fit the wheels, test fit the body on it with the wheels, and if everything's good, then break out the airbrush and compressor. So we'll see at that step. Alright, today we've got the base we've got to deal with, and we need to, MMR, Mod My Ride. That's who supplied these wheels, or who I got the wheels from. But today we need to cut the axles. So let's get that figured out and get these on. I'm still not going to show you the wheels just yet, so we'll be right back. My God, look at these small axle tubes. Oh my goodness. Holy moly. These things are actually as big. The axle tube itself is as big as the regular axle on a Hot Wheel. Oh my God, this thing is little. I mean, see, it'll go right through where the factory axles was and still stay clipped in. So that's good. Now all I got to do is mark it and cut it. So let's get it exactly where I want it. Put my finger there. Make sure that joker's marked. Yep, right there, I see it. My God. Now I'm going to take this and cut it, and then we'll come back and do the same thing to the other one. But that is for that one. That's the back one. Jesus Christ, I mean the front one. Jesus, that thing's little. Yep, that one right there. Ah, dang. All right, let me go get it cut. All right, let's double check this. Always double and triple check. Perfect, look at that. Oh yes, that's going to be perfect. But I really need to notch those so that when I glue the axles in, I can have somewhere to glue it, because I don't like putting it on the end of the pin and sticking it in there. If you're not real careful, you can actually glue the wheels on and they won't turn. This is a head pin, and of course it's the same size. So yes, that is the same exact size as the axles. Man, but look how small these axles are. It's ridiculous how small this stuff is. But what I'm going to try to do is notch that. I have to double check the axles, make sure they don't go in too far, but I want to notch this. So I'm trying to see exactly how much room I have. I know you probably can't see this on the camera, but I cut 2 small grooves or notches into the axle tube so that I could put the axles in and then put glue on top of it. I hope you can see that right there. I just put 2 small grooves in there. Now I can put the axles in and then hit it with some glue, and then that'll go right in. And we'll do the same thing to the back one. But let's go ahead and get this one glued in. I mean the other one. Let's go ahead and get this one glued in the way we want it. Make sure that those 2 notches are turned up. So I'm going to need this and this. Make sure your nozzles are turned up. And make sure you don't get any glue in your notch, because if you get any glue in that little cutout, you're not, this is all going to be for nothing. If you're wondering what this is the Insta-Set to make the instant glue actually cure or dry instantly. I mean, if I wanted to, I could put the axles in there now and do whatever I wanted to do. But that's all that is. Now I'm going to do is take the axle and stick in and make sure it goes all the way in like it's supposed to. And it does. Alright, now we've got that one. Now let's do the other one. Same process, just stick it in there. Get it where you want it. Hold it in place. Take a marker and mark it. And once you get it the way you want it, we're going to put the axle tube in there, make sure it's all the way down, turn the way we want it turned, and put some instant glue on it after dropping everything. Then we're going to put some Insta-Set on it. Two drops worth to do it. Alright, I just verified that the wheels will fit with all the modifications and stuff without making any further modifications. So now I can paint this bad boy and get it ready for final assembly. So that's what's going to be the next step. I'm going to wipe this sugar off, make sure I didn't just put any oil by touching the sides. As you can see, everything's primed, the axle tubes are in, all that good stuff. So that's the next step. Alright, as you can see, the interior is all white. We don't need for this to be white for his car, so let's get her painted. We'll do the bottom first, and I'm just going to be using Valspar satin paint, nothing special, but we're just going to get her painted up. Now we'll give that a few minutes to dry and we'll flip it over and get the other side. Alright, got that side. It's all nice and dry, as you can see. Got the sides real good. I need to touch that one up a little bit, but I'll get it when I spray it from this side. So let's go ahead and finish it off. That should do it. Like I said, I'm going to touch up the gear shifter with white because that's what the way his is. The rest of it will stay like it is. I mean, he's never going to see it anyway, never look in the inside of the car, so that should be good enough. Alright, got my white paint out. Let's get his interior out. Like I said, he'll never see it, but his car actually has a white Hurst shifter on the inside of it. As you can see, I painted the interior black. He will never see it, but that's not the point, right? The point is we're doing something for somebody, and it's supposed to be representative of his car, so we're going to make it representative of his car, right? So we're going to shake our white paint up really good, and this will only take a split second. I always wipe that off, and still it sticks. But that right there ought to be enough just about to paint the whole thing, so we're going to set the bottle opener out of the way. We're going to take it and just basically dab it on there. Until we are satisfied with the way it looks. Once we're satisfied with it, we leave it alone. And that's all the detailing we're going to do to the inside of that car. But looks pretty good, don't it? If you don't know, the Hurst shifter is synonymous with the white ball that goes on top of the shifter, so that's what he has in his car, so that's what he's going to have in this car. Now he also has tinted windows in his car. The top section of his window is tinted, so I'm going to put a band across the front top of it. Now he has really dark tinted windows in his car anyway, and I don't have any regular tint in the house, So what we're going to do is we're just going to hit it some flat black from the inside. And that seems a bit extreme, but no, it sounds a bit extreme, but trust me, it will work perfect. Just a little bit of black paint, tape off the area for the tint. Be sure to get it up in the crack. And it doesn't have to be coated completely. All it's doing is giving the illusion of window tint. So if it has some light bleed through, that does help add to the illusion. But the main thing is you want to be sure to get it in all the cracks. Now we're going to take the tape off of it. Nice band across there, and look at that. Just putting a piece of tape over that to keep my fingers out of the paint up there. Can even fold it over if I want to. And I'm going to put a piece across the bottom to keep it from just, I mean, it doesn't matter, but I just want to try to keep it off everything that I really don't want painted. Just because I'm that type of person. Any other time, you can throw it on there if you choose. Now we're going to paint that same flat black. Now I've got it all painted up, and as you can see, it's not perfect, but it doesn't matter. Once it goes in the car, it will look really good. And let me show you in the car really quick. There's the front with it in the car, and you got to imagine this is going to be like a maroon colored paint. So, and there's the back of it in the car. And once the interior goes in it, you will never see any streaks or anything. See how dark that is now? Look at that. Just like tinted windows all the way around. And only when you get up real close can you see that that's even tinted. Looks like the whole windshield is actually tinted. But that will look really good on his color of paint. So, next step is we got to get this thing painted. I can't seem to catch a break in the weather for nothing, but we're going to. We're going to get this bad boy. So, next step, I got to seal this up so there's no fumes in the house. Why it's very sensitive to fumes, and let it dry until we get the car painted. So stay tuned for that. All right, let's see if we can get this all done. This is the actual paint to match his car, which was red jewel tint coat. Got the reducer, because lacquer thinner, paint thinner, all that stuff will not work, since this is an enamel based paint, but nothing works with it except for a specific reducer for whatever reason. So as you can see, this is an actual scratch repair kit, and he said that the way this should be mixed is like 3 to 1. So I'm going to put 1 reducer, 1 reducer to 3 parts paint. Then we're going to stir it up real good, mix it up really good, make sure it has the consistency that we want, which is not like water, more like milk, and that's pretty close there. But I'm going to run this back and forth through my dropper to try to get out all the paint out of that. So that we have a really good mix. And this stuff's going to be a bear to clean up, but that's alright, we'll get it. Alright, let's see how it sprays. Pour it in our sprayer. I have my spray gun set at 35 psi. It's almost a whole, it's almost a half a cup full, so if I need more I can always mix it. I know the mixture that I put in it, so let's see what happens. I have been waiting for 4 months to try to get this done. and I can't, it's even windy today, but I'm still going to go ahead and do it. We've re-degreased the car to make sure there's no lint, no pollen, no anything on it. So let's see what happens. All right, now for the wet coat. Good. Why would you want your car to sound like that? I'm gonna leave that in here because that's such an idiot. Why would you want your car to sound like that? But anyhow, here goes your wet coat. That is really a sharp looking color. Wow. Look how good it goes on. And it almost flashes immediately. This is a crazy paint. All right, we got the body painted. Now we're going to do the base. That's how we're going to do it. This paint actually flashes almost as quick as an acrylic paint. It's crazy. See how good that looks now? Now all I gotta do is do the other part. Now all we do is push that over to the side and let it dry. Let's check out the body, make sure we don't have anywhere else we need to hit. That looks super good, but I'm gonna go over it one more time. I'm gonna let that dry as is, and that's gonna be the end of it. Well, the struggle is real, but we're gonna work on it. So what we're going to do today is this grill area has to be painted, right? The fog light area I'm not going to worry about. I'll get that with a brush or a Q-tip. I have to paint the lower front splitter. I have to paint some hash marks on his car, and also the rear diffuser, or rear wicker bill rather. So with all that stated, let's get to taping it off. I'm gonna start with this small green tape, which is used for automotive painting, and we're going to start taping off at the back, and I'm just going to tape it up until I get the result that I'm wanting. Now I know that I'm going to get those that are going to say, well, why don't you just brush it? And you have a very valid point. The only thing with brushing is I'm trying to go with a very, very professional paint job on this. And by brushing it, sometimes it doesn't go on straight and flat. So that's why. So we've got the rear wicker bill taped off so we can paint it. We've got the front splitter taped off so we can paint it. And we've got the hash marks on both sides taped off so we can paint them. So now all we gotta do is just mix up the paint and paint it. Alright, now we're just gonna mix up a little bit of paint. It isn't gonna take much for this car, because all we're doing is that, and then we'll touch up the rest inside. So honestly, just a couple drops worth to do it. That should be more than enough right there. And we're just going to add water until we get the dilution we want. Trying to double it. This should be fairly close. Now we're just going to mix it up, get our gun ready, and as we pour it in the gun we can check the dilution and see if it looks about right. And it does. Alright, now we're just going to take it, cap on it, hook the air hose up, and since we're not going to be blowing a lot of detail and trying to get a lot of coverage, we can actually turn the pressure down to like 15 to 20 psi. And then all we got to do is make sure it tapes down. I'm going to hit this in real light coats because we don't want it to really bleed up underneath the tape. Get it real light. 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 Use the air to flash it because this is acrylic paint. I will let that sit for a minute, come back and put one more coat on it, and that should be done. Alright, now we're going to give it another coat. I'll sit for just a minute. Come back one more coat, then we'll take that off and touch up the grill and stuff inside. Alright, got all the tape off. You can see the hash marks on there, right? Went a little far up on there, so we're going to take some water and a Q-tip and get that. Got the rear wicker bill done. Got the front splitter done. So now all I got to do is clean that up, hit the front grill area, clear coat this bad boy, and we are done. You know, and of course do some detailing like the tail lights, stuff like that. So we'll do all that inside. Alright, let's see what we got here. Take the cover off. I've got one or two spots that I got to touch up, but I've already touched up the black on the hood, got it taken off. It's pretty good. Back half of the wheel well, back half of the wheel well. Nice flat black. Nice flat black. But now I got to touch up. I got to hit the red tail lights. Got to hit the side markers. Got to do this grill area. That grill area with black. In here with black where the daytime running lights go. And let it sit for a couple days and clear coat it, and that bad boy will be finished. So let's get to it. All I'm going to do is I'm going to use the same black that I used for the wicker bill and everything. And all I really need is what's in the cap. So we'll set all that over there where we don't knock it off. Get us a brush, and hopefully that will be enough. And then just go real slow with it. I'm sorry, I hope you could have seen that. Now when that dries, I'll come back and hit it with some white and put in a little bit of detail for the headlight. A little bit too much paint on there. There we go. I'm also going to come back and touch his bow tie up with the same color of the car because that's the way his is right now. I need some black paint. It's really starting to look like it. I got a couple of spots I got to touch up with the color of the car, but it shouldn't be no big deal. Shouldn't be no big deal at all. It's really starting to look like a car now. Look at that. All I got to do is the tail lights, the turn signals and side markers, and like I said, it's bow tie. Alright, I've got the red out, and no matter what you do, the inside liner always sticks to the cap. But I've got to paint the side markers on this car. I've got to paint the back ones red and the front ones that amber color. So here I'm just getting everything ready, and we're going to paint those and get the finishing touches on this car. All you want to do is just want to load your toothpick up. Make sure you have a nice sharp toothpick because these side markers are very small. And you're not really going to brush it in there. You're basically just going to let the paint touch where you want the paint to go, and it will actually kind of suck it into the little recessed area where the lights are. But that's all you've got to do for that. We're going to go ahead and get this. But yeah, it just goes right in. We're going to finish getting these two, and then we'll move on to the front side markers with the amber. Man, I hope it coming through on camera, but this paint job, this color and everything looks so good. Look at that bad boy. There goes Pop-O-Matic car. I would be embarrassed of that. But anyhow, look at how good this paint job looks. I think it turned out great. Oh well, that color just pops too, man. I tell you what. But we're going to clear coat that bad boy today. We're finally going to get it clear coated. It's a little breezy, but I'm going to go ahead and do it anyway. Got the exhaust painted. That's about all I'm going to do to the base of that. So we're going to do this first, then we'll come back and get that. So I'm going to set that to the side. Let's get her clear coated. And again, I'll say it every time I do it, just so everybody that has never done it knows. You always do light coats, get a tack coat on it, and then you hit it with a wet coat. That helps, number one, prevent runs, but it also it gives the wet coat a bonding agent to stick to. And what that does, because the clear coat actually is kind of self-leveling, so if your base is nice and smooth, then the clear coat will just it'll pit up, kind of look like orange peel, and then as it dries it levels itself out. So what we want is light coats to start, right? You can see the wind blowing straight that way. That's okay, we'll work with it. I hit across real lightly. I'm gonna set it down on a paper towel, which you can't see, and hit it real lightly. And now we'll do the body. Look at how good that turned out, man. Yeah, sweet, man. I think that turned out really, really good. There's one little spot right there I had to touch up, but you really can't even tell it. And by the way, I'm going to send you the rest of the paint because I won't ever need it. I mean, this is a cool color, and I might need it, you know, way later on. But I'm going to go ahead and send you the rest of the paint because I had it custom mixed for your car, so you know it will work on your real car too for touching up rock chips and stuff like that. So I'm going to go ahead and send that to you with this car, so be ready for that. What we're going to do is we're going to hit the inside first. And then we're going to hit the outside with a light coat. Look at how that color changed. Oh my goodness. It's a real light coat on the outside. Across the front. And that is good enough for now, but look at how that bad boy is shining, man. Oh my goodness. Alright, it's been 5 minutes and look at how it is still shining. The clear is now nice and tacky, so we're going to go ahead and hit it one more time with a wet coat. So we're going to leave the paint on just a little longer. Slow our strokes down, right? Now we hit this long ways. And that's all she's going to get. Look at that bad boy, how good she looks. Oh my goodness. I got the hash marks on there. I've got the front end painted, got the headlights painted, you know, tail lights painted, side of the markers painted, front splitters painted, grills painted, the wicker bills painted, cars painted, got it clear coated. So we're going to let this dry, see how it looks, and before we ship her off, before we put it together, we're going to wax it up really good, polish it, and next step is putting the wheels on the base. Look at how good that paint job come out. Oh my goodness. Wow. But that's not what we're here for. We're here for this. We gotta get the wheels on this bad boy. And it's time to reveal the wheels. I'm gonna show you exactly what we're putting in this because this was the closest thing that I could find to match his car. I am going to try to keep this on this white box so I can see what I'm doing, because everything is so small. Oh my goodness. But this is what we're working with. That's the closest thing I can find to his actual wheels that he has. His has split 7s. This is split 6s. So they're very close. I mean, they're not perfect, but they're close enough. So now all we gotta do is get them glued up. And we are in the final stages of this. Car's all painted up, waxed. The interior is done. I got his shifter knob white, just like in his car. I've got his glass done. His front window is tinted way down like that. His back window is tinted. So now all we gotta do is just drop everything into place. Put the base on it. And we are done with this one. Alright. Give it a little bit of a wax. Because this bad boy's finished. Doesn't take much. If you've watched any of my other videos, you know how well this wax works, so we'll give it a couple minutes, let it sit. Alright, we're giving it just a couple minutes. Now we're going to buff this stuff off. And it'll be ready to put in the package. I'm not going to stop with just this. I got some card art that I made. Now we're going to put the card's name on here. And this card's name is Lucy. OMD 21. Old Man Diecast 21. So now we're going to take that. We'll mount this to this because this is a card for the exact year of his car, 2010. We're going to mount that on there. We're going to put the car in there and we're going to put it on that. And then this bad boy will be done and ready to be shipped. Ruin this. Oh well. Alright, today's the big day, finishing up this project. Now hopefully everything is looking good under this because I used this for some weight. So let's get that out of the way. Now, Diecast Nation videos, I'm sorry this didn't come out perfect, but I don't have a printer, so I had it sized everything. I had everything sized right. Sent it over to a friend of mine that lives just down the street. He printed it off, but he didn't check his printer settings, so it didn't match what I had sent him, so it printed off a little small. And I'll just leave it at that. Now I still have some touch-up work to do on this. Wow. I don't know what it looks like yet. I haven't flipped it over. But as you can see, it doesn't fit perfect, so I got to trim that up just a hair. But let's see how it looks. It turned out very good. I mean, the glue that I use, you have to work with it really quick. It's some really funny stuff. I honestly don't like it, but, you know, whatever. So, there's that. And then we're going to, like I said, we're going to take this, put the car in it, and it's going to go on there just like so. Go on the protector pack and be on its way to you. I hope you like it. I did the best I could on it, considering there's going to be a little bit of blue on this. Because I couldn't get it all off, but you know how that is too. I got a feel in our wheel. About time to change out this glue. It's been acting really funny. But here's your car, buddy. I painted it up the best I could, considering, you know, the wind and stuff. I'm sorry it took so long to get it to you. Got the windshield tinted just like yours. Got the back window tinted just like yours. Got the wicker bill, the backup lights, the brake lights, the side markers, the front end. Got the diffuser and everything. So it's closest wheels I could find again. I didn't really like these wheels. I won't be using them again. These are monoblock wheels. I mean, there's nothing wrong with it. The tires is what I'm a little unhappy with. But more than anything, I don't like how short they give you the head pins. They need to be a little bit longer to go up into the axle tube, because the way I mount mine, I don't glue my axle into the axle tube. In other words, I don't put glue on the axle and then stick it in the tube. You end up gluing the wheels like that if you're not real careful. So I always notch my axle tube, slide the axle into it, and then put the glue on top of it. But with all that stated, I think it came out very well. What do you guys think? I hope you enjoy it, bud. You've been a good friend. I mean, you're still my friend. Don't take it like that. But you've been a great friend. You've supported me through my endeavors and everything. And I hate to see it go, but I love to see it leave. Straight from a good old country song, right? So let's get this thing packaged up. I may have to open up a new thing of glue. This thing's been acting kind of funky. There we go. It's actually working today. But I'm pretty sure it's about out. Yeah, it's about out. So I'm just going to put me a good bit on there. Take my Q-tip. I used the wrong thing. Take my Q-tip. My toothpick. I'm just going to spread it on there really quick. Right. Put the car in it. Get it where we want it. And set it on there. That's all there is to it. Now we'll let that bad boy dry for a little bit. I'll put a little bit of weight on it. We'll let it dry for a little bit. Put it in a protector pack and it'll be on your way. Alright, one final wipe. Get my old fingerprints off of it from my biscuit grabbers. What do you think, guys? Looks pretty close to his real car, don't it? I think it does. I sure do hope you enjoy it, buddy. I'm just going to go into the protector pack. Like a glove. And this should help it get to you without being damaged. I hope and pray. I hope it becomes a good part of your collection. I hope you really enjoy it. It's been fun doing it. I really enjoyed it. And until the next one, you know what I say? I'm sorry about that little bit of blue there. You know, and it's one of the things you learn as you go. I am so sorry about that. But I didn't notice it until it was too late. I'm sorry. But I hope you enjoy the car. And I'll get this mailed out tomorrow to you. P.S. If you watch this far, I'm sending you the extra paint. This bottle was full. I had 2 episodes where I didn't have the proper reducer. So it's probably a third of the way full now. You know, some of it got wasted. That's the learning process. But I'm going to go ahead and send it to you. Because like I said, it matches your car. So you can use this for rock chips and stuff like that. You know, if you want to. If you don't want to, just throw it away. It needs to be stored upside down because this paint has metal flake in it. And you want it to store it upside down so all the metal flake stays up toward the cap. And then when you want to use it, you know, you just turn it over and shake it up really good and then, you know, do your thing. But I'm going to send that. I'm going to put it in a Ziploc bag and tape it up really good. Just in case it would leak. I don't think it will, but just in case. Alright buddy, got it all packaged up as you can see. It's in a protector pack, it's in a priority box, it's in a bubble envelope, so it should get there safe and sound. So next stop, on its way to you. Hope you enjoy. Thanks for watching.